Please welcome Zillow Group Chief Marketing Officer, Jeremy Wacksman.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. Like Spencer, I'm also going to talk to you about a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is our consumers. I've met many of you as our marketing teams work to market Premier Agent and talk to all of you, but most of our teams actually work on our consumer audience, getting inside the hearts and minds of what they want so we can concept these great products that you hear about, so we can attract audience with great marketing and advertising campaigns and bring millions and tens of millions of people to our websites to connect with you all, their agents. And we have entire teams just focused on those insights, talking to hundreds of thousands of consumers a year. And that team produces a report, this is our second annual, that I hope many of you have heard about, called the Consumer Housing Trends Report. It is the largest study ever done in real estate. 13,000 consumers, buyers, renters, homeowners, sellers, what their wants are, their needs are, where the industry and the data is going. Everyone here gets a free copy of this. It's available up in the hub, so during your break, go grab it. It's almost 200 pages of fantastic bedtime reading about the wants and needs of your clients. I'm going to talk about the buyer and the trends we're seeing with home buyers. Amy's going to follow and talk about the seller and the trends in the sellers. And again, all the data in these presentations is in here. But before we get into buyers and sellers, I want to talk about the general trends we're seeing in consumers in general. The first, and you heard this yesterday, we are busier than ever. I want to go way back to 1930. John Maynard Keynes, one of the preeminent economists of the time, predicted a 3-hour workday. He thought that technological advancements would automate away work and that the working class would live the lives of the rich. In fact, he said, for the first time in creation, man will be faced with his permanent problem, how to occupy his leisure time because science has won, right? What happened? Like, I want that. Can we go back and get that instead of what we're doing now, which is staring at our iPhones, right? That was before the internet came along. That was before the iPhone. Apple says we unlock our phones 80 times a day. That's the average. I think I'm probably more. That's just your phone, right? How many devices do we have? There are estimates that we look at a screen hundreds of times a day, and then it goes all day, right? From the morning you wake up, you check it in bed, to going to bed at night, checking your email or social media one last time, right? Technology has made us busy, and it's not just a symptom, it's become a way of life. This is an advertisement for Pan Am Airlines back in that same time frame about a long-haul flight. It says, halfway to Europe between cocktails and coffee. Right? They're marketing the ability to unplug, to live that life of leisure, right, and relax. The same category, the same advertiser today. Departing doesn't have to mean disconnecting. You can stay busy. You can get more done. You can send more emails. You can post more, right? Busy has become aspirational. It's something we say. Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I've got more done. Oh, I'm working all the time, right? This has become ingrained in the conscience of all of us as consumers. And so what does busy lead to? Well, it leads to us being stressed out. Consumers in general say their stress level has increased in the past year, a full third do, and most of that is due to technology. This chart shows the stress from technology by age cohort, so the younger you get, the more of a digital native you are, the more stressed you are from technology. And what's also in this report is the number of people saying they have experienced extreme stress, which is that like high end of the 10-point scale. A fifth of the country says in the last year, I experienced a period of extreme stress. So we're busy, we're stressed. That also leads to distrust. Edelman runs this great trust barometer that measures how do consumers feel about trust. And you heard about this a bit yesterday, but as a people, we are distrusters, which means more than half of us distrust in institutions. 82% distrust the media, 60% government, business as well. And if you zoom in and just look year over year, right? So the blue is 2016 and the orange is 2017. Trust is eroding in all these key groups. Experts, government officials are down, CEOs are down. Spencer is not in that group, don't worry. The only group that's not down as much is peers. We are looking for people like us, people we share values with that we can trust and form a connection with and navigate this stressful, frenetic world. In short, we are worked up. We as consumers, we as Americans, this is how we're feeling today, and this is the trend line, and it's increasing. And we're bringing that attitude to the home search as a home buyer. I'm going to talk you through 3 trends that we see in home buyers, and you'll see a lot of common themes from that. Trend number 1 is that buyers are getting bold. I want you to meet Beth. Beth is what we at Zillow Group call our buyer persona. We have named all of our consumer audience targets. Beth is our buyer, Rachel's our renter, Susan's our seller, Harriet's our homeowner. We kind of love alliteration at Zillow Group, makes it easy to remember. And if you spent time with us or in our offices, you will see posters on every wall in every conference room that show these 4 people and what their needs are and what their wants are and how we can build great product and marketing and sales to engage with them. As Rich said yesterday, this is how we keep our consumer as our North Star. So I want to show you someone a Beth, who just went through the home buying process so you can hear from her.
I think the hardest thing was working with all the offers that you were competing with. So when we would send in a love letter, our agent would come back and say, this is great and all, but they're probably not going to see it because they have either a higher cash offer or there were 10 different offers on the house and we just couldn't compete. We probably went to, 100 open houses in a month and a half. I was searching probably when I shouldn't have, or I was just always on all the apps and the websites, just constantly saving. Again, that's where all the open houses came from. We used creative financing. It was definitely not 20% down, it was 5%. We realized that we didn't have to pay 20% down, but then we dug into stocks. We had very minimal gift funding, and we actually did dig into doing the 401k loans. It took us about a month and a half to really find our house. I think closing was 28 days turnaround, so it was very fast.
Whew, that didn't sound fun. But she got it in the end, right? Now let's talk through what we heard. We heard tough market conditions. You all know this better than anyone. Days on market is at its all-time low. This is the trend going back to 2010. We're down at 72 days on market. And inventory follows that same curve, right? Inventory levels are down almost 13% year on year. So you heard from Beth, it was hard for her to find anything. And so what does that mean? That low inventory levels means buyers then are getting creative. They know they're going to have to go through the process more than once. You heard hundreds of open houses. Almost half of buyers are putting down 2 or more offers. And millennials are at the 3 or more range. And coastal markets are also over-indexed. People are going through this process and having to make multiple at-bats to even get a chance at their house. And so that means they're taking risk. They're starting to do things like forego inspections to try and make their offer stronger. You heard her say it, creative financing. Beth putting 20% down is at an all-time low, and the majority of first-time buyers are not in that bucket. You can see here 30% of first-time buyers are putting down just 3 and 9%. You heard Beth talk about scratching together, second sourcing, digging into the 401k, just to make the strongest offer she could in that competitive market. And at the end of the day, that means that Beth went outside her comfort zone. She went over her budget. A third of all buyers say they go over their budget of what they originally wanted. That goes up as you get younger, millennials. That goes up further if you're buying in urban areas, right? That Beth that we heard from, she had to get bold. She had to do everything she could to present her strongest offer in this crazy market. Okay, so you match that boldness that we have with really, really high expectations. This is another trend you've heard yesterday and this morning from Spencer. Beth wants her iPhone to work everywhere. She wants Uber, Google, Amazon, Zillow, Premier Agent. They all need to work seamlessly. And she brings those rising expectations to what she wants to find in her home. That starts with response time. You hear this from us often, but 44% of buyers expect a response quickly. That dad wants an answer before his baby wakes up from the nap. And it's not just in the technology process. Buyers struggle with what they dream about versus what they can actually get. And this goes across the buying process. They struggle with getting the price range right. They struggle with time frame and allowing enough time to find it, which of course in this tough market means they struggle with location. They start in one area and there's nothing there, and they have to widen their lens or wait longer. And they also tell us they struggle to find the right agent because this process is so stressful and they don't start early enough. So, Beth is getting bold. The market's tough for her. She has outsized expectations versus what's really out there. We talked about the consumer trends in general of distrust and stress. What does that lead to? It leads to Beth continuing to get more independent. She wants control. She knows she can't control this whole process. You heard her. But the things she can control, she wants to hang on to and do something about. Let me give you a simple example of this. Of course, going to see a home can't be beat, right? Buyers will always say, I'm never going to buy a house without going to see it and working with my agent to see if it's what I really want. However, in this market, they want ways to short-circuit that process, right? Beth wants to look at a house quickly on her phone on the way to work to decide, should I beg out of work early and go meet my agent to see it because I might have to make an offer tonight. And any tool we can give her to make that easy is what she's asking for, right? So 3D tours, virtual tours, these have been around for a long time, but they're not widely used. And the reason is they're expensive. You have to buy really expensive dedicated hardware. They're time consuming. You have to clear out this during the staging day and spend hours shooting one. You need a professional. And then they're hard for Beth to consume and find. Well, at Zillow Group, we thought, what if there's a better way? And you may have seen a few weeks ago, we announced a beta of something we call 3D Home. Now, anyone, right from their iPhone, can create a 3D home, an indoor walkthrough of your listing. If you can use the panorama feature on your iPhone camera, you can use this free capture app and relatively quickly stand in a room, take some panoramas, and our machine learning and computer vision magic will stitch it together, create a walkthrough, and get it in the hands of tens of millions of buyers on our sites. Greg is going to showcase this in more detail during his section, and if you want to check this out, it's upstairs in our hub. We have a whole installation of a room set up where you can try the technology out on phones. But I bring this up as one of our examples because this is our reaction and innovation to what you heard from Beth. The control she wants and she needs to compete in this market with you. Let's hear from her and her experience with this.
With my home in particular, there were 7 offers. And funny enough, I actually had the least amount of down payment to put on the house. I was fortunate to have a real estate agent that was truly a friend, still is, and really did care. We are both very assertive women and very driven in a sense. She knew how upset I was about not getting even to put an offer in on that first home that we were interested in. I think with this house, she really wanted to act fast. That was the key to being competitive, and that's what we did. She's also a local here and has knowledge with working with other people with my age and my financial limitations, so this wasn't something that was out of the norm. She knew how we were going to get the house that I wanted to get.
Okay, that was actually Beth talking about you all as agents, which we're getting to. We'll talk about that. What you heard from her there was that while Beth wants independence, she needs help, right? That's what Spencer talked about. I love this picture because it actually reminds me of my 6-year-old son, Monday morning, who bounded down the stairs and wanted to make his own lunch for school, which is not something he normally does. And we applauded the independence, but kind of knew where that was going to go. 15 minutes later, crackers and cheese and milk all over the floor, and not a lunch prepared, right? Dad had to step in and help. He wanted to be independent, but he needed help. That's our buyer today. Beth wants independence, but she needs help. Your job as her agent is to help her be bold, but not brash. To help her navigate what you just heard in that video and make the right offer, the strong offer that meets her needs. And this is what we hear from Beth when we talk to her when she gets done with the process and she looks back. She says agents are the most useful in guidance through the process, in contract negotiation, in advice, in expertise. And what's not on here, and not surprising, is buyers that use agents report dramatically higher levels of satisfaction than those that don't, right? It makes sense. So when she gets to the end and she finally understands what she needed to go through, she sees that, like my son, she needed help. You are vital to that process, now more than ever. And I want to go back to Mr. Keynes, who said, 3-hour workday. We're busier than ever, right? We should be outside at the pool right now instead of talking about how technology is going to help us meet the needs of these buyers. But our data shows that despite all of these technology advancements, we are busier than ever, right? If you look at the picture on this slide, I don't know if anyone can make out what that is. That's the MLS book, right? That is the greatest example of technology coming to our industry, right? The internet democratized that data, made it available to everyone, to you, to our buyers, to our homeowners before they even decide what to do. It put it in the hands of everyone on a smartphone app. Did that make you less busy? No, it made you more busy because now your buyer is coming in with those rising expectations we talked about. Now she has a response time expectation. Now she has an ability to dream and look for what she wants, right? Our data shows that despite all these technology advancements, buyers need a partner more than ever. Greg talked about it, Spencer talked about it, technology plus human. So our job on the consumer team is to continue to build the products that Beth wants to help her on her home buying process and to build the platform for you all to connect with them. Right? As Spencer said, we are building the lightsaber, you are the Jedi. Thank you.